The desert wind carried secrets that night, secrets of love, danger, and a fate neither of them could escape. And when he first saw her eyes, everything inside him shifted, like the world had been waiting for that one moment. They called him Jonah Cross. A quiet cowboy with a steady hand, a haunted heart, and a past that clung to him like a second shadow. He'd crossed more towns than he could count, trying to outrun the memory of a gunfight that had taken someone he once loved. But no matter how far he rode, the guilt rode with him. It was the late 1860s when Jonah arrived in Ashford Ridge, UK-inspired desert town of lantern-lit alleys, dusty wooden porches, and soft-spoken folks who kept their heads low when trouble drifted in with the wind. The sky was a burning red, the kind of sunset that made the whole horizon look like it was on fire. He dismounted outside the saloon, dusted off his coat, and pushed through the swinging doors. That was when he saw her. She sat alone at a corner table, the lantern beside her casting a warm, trembling glow across her face. Her hair fell in soft waves over her shoulders, catching the gold light like strands of sunset. But her eyes, those eyes, held something deeper, something brave, something broken, something she was trying very hard to hide. Jonah froze, just long enough for her to notice. Their gazes locked. In that silent heartbeat, he felt something shift in him. Something he hadn't let himself feel in years. She looked away first, but not before he caught the flicker of fear in her expression. Not fear of him, fear of someone else. Something else. Jonah took a seat at the bar, but he couldn't help glancing her way. She barely touched her drink, her hands wrapped around the glass as if grounding herself from some storm only she could see. Moments later, trouble walked in. A man with a scarred jaw and a cruel smile. His eyes scanned the saloon, then landed on her. "There you are," he barked. She stiffened. Jonah saw it. So did everyone else. The man stepped closer. "You can't run from us forever, Ilara." So that was her name. Before the man could reach her, Jonah stood slow, calm, like a man who knew exactly what could happen next. "She said she's not interested in talking," Jonah said quietly. The man turned. "And who the hell are you?" Jonah didn't answer. He didn't have to. The look in his eyes spoke for him. For a tense moment, the bar held its breath. Then the stranger spat, cursed under his breath, and stormed out, leaving behind a trail of questions that clung to the room like smoke. Ilara exhaled shakily. Jonah tipped his hat. "You all right, miss?" Her eyes softened, but her walls stayed up. "I am now, thank you." It was a simple moment, a small gesture, but it changed something between them. Over the next days, Jonah found himself noticing Ilara everywhere, walking the dusty streets at dusk, speaking softly to her horse, lighting a lantern outside the abandoned church. She moved with the quiet strength of someone who'd learned not to rely on others. Someone carrying more weight than she admitted. Sometimes she smiled at Jonah. Sometimes she looked away quickly, as if afraid he might see too much. They shared small conversations at the well beside the general store under the shadow of the old water tower. Nothing romantic was spoken, but everything was felt. She asked about his horse. He asked where she learned to shoot so well. She lied. He noticed but said nothing. One night they met by the campfire outside town. The flames crackled, throwing long dancing shadows across the sand. The sky stretched above them, deep and endless. "You're running from something," Jonah said softly. Her hands trembled around her cup. "Maybe I am." "You don't have to tell me." She looked at him then, eyes glistening with a truth she wasn't ready to reveal. "Thank you for not asking." He nodded, and for the first time in years, Jonah felt hope fragile, warm, real. But dawn brings truth, whether you want it or not. The next evening, Elara didn't show up at her usual places. Jonah sensed something wrong. He rode out past the canyon ridge and found her facing down, 3 riders' guns drawn, ready to drag her back to whatever past she was running from. She stood alone, brave but outnumbered. Before they could fire, Jonah charged in, dust rising behind him, heart pounding like war drums. The gunfight lit up the desert with flashes of fire and echoing thunder. When it was over, the riders fled, wounded or defeated by the ghost-like cowboy who fought with shadows in his eyes. Elara collapsed to her knees, tears streaking her dusty cheeks. "I didn't want you involved," she whispered. "You already involved me," Jonah said. "The moment I looked into your eyes, she broke their not from weakness, but from the weight she'd carried too long." "My family was killed by those men," she confessed. "I'm the last one left. I've been tracking them for months. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to save me. I wanted to save myself." Jonah knelt beside her. "Elara, everyone deserves someone at their side, even the strongest souls." She looked into his eyes, really looked in. Something inside her finally softened as the sun set over Ashfall Ridge, painting the sky gold and crimson. Their silhouettes stood close against the glowing horizon. 2 broken hearts finding a piece of themselves in each other. Because sometimes love isn't spoken. Sometimes it simply felt like the warmth of a campfire, or the gentle glow of a lantern in the dark. If you enjoyed this journey through the untamed Wild West, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell for more gripping tales from the edge of history. Comment below which moment moved you the most.